Today it's looking at numbers, which is this book from 2014, published by Birkhauser, which is really a Springer Verlag. But as you can see, this was a collaboration. It's mostly drawings that I did to try to find my music through graphs and drawings. But it's needed a little bit of mathematical explanation. So that's why I asked my friend, Frank Jedrzejewski, to collaborate with me. And he did a beautiful job. He wrote almost as much as I did in some of the chapters, adding mathematical explanations of some of the things that I only knew as a musician. He's a rather special person who got a doctorate in mathematics very young and works at Saclay research. But later he did another diploma in musicology. He wrote a thesis on Vishnegradsky and quarter tones and microtonality and different tuning systems in general. But that wasn't enough, so he did another diploma in philosophy, which led him to read many books on category theory, which I really don't understand. But there's a lot of things that we both understand and could work on together. I really want you to meet this person, and here he is.
I met Tom in 2001, I think, and at the Mamux seminar, which we had organized with Moreno Andreata at IRCAM in Paris. So it's hard to talk about the genesis of this book, looking at numbers, but I think it's a conjunction of two things. The first is it's a theoretical synthesis of the Mamux seminar, and the second, and best one, as the synthesis of Tom's drawing and graphs. The first session of the Mamux seminar was an introduction to mathematics applied to music. Guerino Mazzola, who had not yet gone to the United States, participated in all the sessions. In March 2002, I remember that I presented my theory of dodecaphonic notes, according to which we classified the 9 millions of 12-tone rows in 554 chords diagrams. It was completely new at that time, and I'm going to multiply the application of breads and notes to music. During the 15 seasons, this seminar from 2001 to 2016, Tom will present a conference. There was also Emmanuel Amiot and Thomas Noll, who were very interested in the question of tilings. So now Tom was working on a book and about combinatorial design more than with tilings.
So we're going to talk about some real music, Clarinet Trio and the Homometry 108 later on, but I want to begin with some simple drawings, show you some of the more simple things that we did in this book. It begins with a lot of versions that are simply permutations of 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make a rule that permutation is just by changing the second and third items. So now that changes 1, 2, 3, 4 into 1, 3, 2, 4. Now let's make a second rule, which means change the third and fourth items. And so now 1, 3, 2, 4 becomes 1, 3, 4, 2. Now we go back to the first rule, and that gives us 1, 4, 3, 2. And now the second rule, which gives us 1, 4, 2, 3. Now the first rule again, which gives us 1, 2, 4, 3. And look what happens. Second rule is going to bring us back to 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's this complete circle of the 6 permutations that begin with 1. But this can be connected with simple rules to the permutations that begin with 2, and the 6 permutations that begin with 3, and the 6 permutations that begin with 4, and then we get all 24 in a nice diagram. In many ways, there's a lot of ways to do that, right, Frank?
The graph formed with permutation or 4 digits and at the vertices and simply exchange of digits at the edge are not always planar. So, for example, the permutoid one here, which is the same as in the broken figure, in this figure, is a permutation of 1, 2, 3, 4. And the permutations, if you draw only, for example, here from 1, 4, 3, 2 to 2, 4, 3, 1, you have to exchange 1 and 2. So 1 becomes 2 and 2 becomes 1. So if you make the whole graphs, you cannot have a planar graph. So it's very difficult to manage with the permutation, and it's very difficult to get some pictures by hand.
Yeah, but you can see that the 6 permutations that begin with 1 all make a nice hexagon here, and the permutations that begin with 2, well, they're just kind of scattered around. 1 here, 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 and here. And then the permutations at 3 that begin with 4 are like a hexagon, like the 1. So there's an organization in 2 dimensions as well.
As well, yeah, of course. So, but it's difficult to have the whole graphs with all permutations. That's right.
Yeah. We have slides of a couple of other pages from the drawing, which different formations, which we can look at here. But there's many other ways that the 24 permutations could be graphed in a logical way with permutations or exchanging numbers. And actually, Frank talks about a lot of other things here: Coxeter groups, Kata groups, symmetric groups, and other things. We're not going to take time to try to do a whole math course here. One of the chapters that I am most pleased with, and I think Frank too, is a chapter on juggling. We did a couple of seminars with real jugglers and talking about how jugglers count and do permutations and systems too. Let me show you one of the 5-ball cannons. There's 2 jugglers. The first juggler just throws the balls up to a height of 3, 3, 3, and 1. That means this ball goes up for 3 counts, 1, 2, and then it goes up to 1 count, but it goes back to another juggler who does the same thing starting here, 3, 3, 3, 1. So this ball went up to the air for 3 counts, landed here, goes up in the air for 1 count, lands in the hands of the other juggler, up for 3 counts to land here, up for 3 counts, 1, 2, 3 to land here, up for 3 counts, 2, 3 to land here, up for 1 count to the other juggler to land here, 1, 2, 3, 3 counts to land here, 1, 2, 3, and 3 counts, he's back to where he began this ball. So this ball has been in the hands of one juggler, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1, 10 beats, and 10 beats in the other hands of the other juggler. So it has made a cycle of 20 beats. Now, if a second ball begins 4 beats later, and a third ball begins 4 beats later, and a fourth ball begins 4 beats later, and a fifth ball begins 4 beats later, you have 5 balls all doing the same circuit. And that's one of the 5-ball cannons that you can do. But this is only one pattern, and a man like Frank could calculate how many other 5-ball cannons you could do, and those are specified in the book. How many are there? Do you remember?
No, I can't remember. But, I think it's written in the book.
They have to, yeah, they have to look up the book. They don't know. I think there's 5 or 6 or 7 ways that you can do this with 2 jugglers.
But I remember when in 2012 at the Mammoth seminar, we have a great session on juggling with Gandini Circus and Luke Wilson and Jonathan Lardier. And I remember he composed dropping balls and also 3 balls for 3 jugglers and many other things. I think it was premiere in Amsterdam in 2011. And the Mammoth seminar will try to understand what is the difference between tiling, between perfect tiling and canon, and of course have good juggling, which is not canon, which is not tiling. It was very difficult to understand the interaction between two. And there is only one book in the theory of that mathematical theory of juggling, which has been written in 2002, I think, by Birkhauser.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah. This piece, 3 notes for 3 jugglers, was written for Sean Gandini and his collaborators. I was very happy to meet this English troupe, and in fact I did 3 collaborations with them, and I learned a lot about juggling, and they learned something about music. It was a great collaboration, and they're wonderful jugglers. In fact, they're so good that this year, when the Metropolitan Opera decided to do Akhenaton, to fill glass opera, they found, as everybody knows, that in ancient Egypt they were already juggling. We have images of jugglers in ancient Egypt. So they had a lot of money and they wanted to do a big spectacle. So they hired 10 Gandini jugglers to come and be on stage. And it's been a very successful opera at the Metropolitan Opera, and a lot of work for Gandini juggling as well as for the singers and everything. And it's been a very big success. I think partly because the juggling is so spectacular, as well as the singing and everything, and the staging in general. But that's enough about juggling, huh? We need to get to business and talk about the Clarinet Trio, which is the real thing that we want to talk about. And we have especially good musical illustrations here because Fabrice Villard, the clarinetist from Ensemble Daedalus and an old friend, has prepared some excerpts of the Clarinet Trio with 3 clarinets that he plays himself overdubbing, and we can hear some of these drawings. The first one is we're going to do, I call flowers. You can see at the upper left, there's the first flower has 1 in the middle because the note 1 is sustained through all of the 11 chords that we're going to hear in this section. It starts at the left with the 1 3/11 and 1 5/11, and then 1 5/12 and 1 8/12, and down around the other 2, and then finally in the pedal up at the top, it's 1 2 4 and 1 4 6, and following the triangle on the inside, 1 2 6. So those are the 11 chords that contain note 1. And then you go to the 11 chords that contain note 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. And finally, the chords that contain note 12, but for some reason that I don't really understand, there's not 11, there's 22 of those. but it's not really important. The important thing is just to listen to the flowers as Fabrice plays them.
From 2008 or 2009, Tom will work with combinatorial design. I think the book of Jeffrey Dinitz and Charles Cornburn will be published in 2007, Handbook of Combinatorial Design, and Tom works with this book. It was a real revolution in music, in theory and practice. Tom tries to find a way to draw this combinatorial design as graphs suitable for musical use. This is where looking at numbers is located. So the starting point for this design comes back from Reverend Kirkman, an English pastor who posed the problem in 1847. 15 young ladies in a school walk out 3 abreast for 7 days in succession. It is required to arrange them daily so that no two shall walk twice abreast. This was a definition of the problem of Reverend Kirkman. And the solution of this problem is the combinatorial design, which is named 15-3-1. For Tom, 15 is 15 notes and grouped by 3, such that each couple is unique in each chord. So this would give birth to Kirkman ladies.
Same principle. The music we just heard is 12-3-2. There's only 12 notes in chords of 3 notes, and 2 at a time. The same is true in the next music we're going to hear, which I call minimal, because here there's always 2 clarinets that don't change note and 1 clarinet that does. So there's only 1 moving line with each new chord. I don't think it's important to really follow the exactly how this is falling on the drawing. But the important thing is to just appreciate that there's only 1 note changing with each chord, and somehow we get around all of these chords. the 7 drawings that were used for the Clarinet Trio were done before the music was written. That's unusual, but in this case, the music was illustrated before it was written. And all 7 drawings were purchased, in fact, by the museum in Besançon, the Franche-Comté, where we also did the premiere of the music played by 3 clarinetists in the ensemble Ictus. The next drawing we're going to look at, I call triangle, because there's 11 triangles around the outside. They're all numbered. And so we begin with the first phrase, and we go around the triangle, 1, 2, 6, 1, 2, 10, da, 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 da. And then to 2 chords in the center, which contain the highest note, note 12, 2, 6, 12, and 2, 9, 12. So the music phrase, ta 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 ta, high high, low 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 low, high high, and the music goes like that. So now you've heard the Clarinet Trio, but we want you to hear some of Homometry 108. 108 chords, 5-note chords. But we need to explain a little bit about what homometry is all about. Frank, explain homometry.
So in music, 2 sets are homometric if they have the same weights. In other words, the interval vectors are the same. There is few chords, homometric chords. Here, for example, you have the 12 notes, numbered 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the chord 0, 1, 4, 6, which means C, C sharp, E, F sharp, and the chord 0, 1, 3, 7, which means C, C sharp, D sharp, and G, are homometric. Because if you draw the complete graph, you have the same weight. For example, this one, between 0, 1, the chord is 1, and here between the chord 0, 1 is 1. So between 1, 3, there is 2, and between 4, 6, it's 2.
The differences, yeah.
The differences between 1 and 4 is 3. And here, between 0 and 3, you have 3. So between 0 and 6, you have 6. And here, between 1 and 7, you have 6. Between 0 and 7, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, sorry, it's 4. 1, 2,
no, it's 5.
5, yeah,
You're
5,
right.
5. 5. And between 1 and 6, so yeah, it's 5. And between 1 and 6, it's also 5. So between 0 and 4 is 4. And between 3 and 7, it's also 4. So the weights are the same. The chords are homometric.
12-tone composers always thought that the chords were related only if they were inversions or retrogrades of one another, but they didn't think about this. If they have the same weight, if they're homometric, they sound somehow similar.
So transposition sets and inversions are always homometric, but there are no really interesting.
The other limitation in 12-tone theory is that they only knew 12, because everything had to be on the chromatic scale. But mathematicians can count further than that and less than that, and I can too. And sometimes we're interested in homometrics that is in a circle of 6 or 8 or 16 or 24. or 13 or whatever. You can make homometric groups of any length, and in fact, Frank did a huge study. He ran it all through the computer and did a huge list, many pages, of homometric pairs of all sizes. But we should now go back to our drawing that we did already in this book. It's on page 13, I think, of our book. And we were very pleased about this. I did the drawing, but it really came from Frank, because he calculated how I could make the by permutation, put together all of the 6 chords, the 3 5-note pairs in Alan Fort's analysis. Let's go to the drawing on the wall. So this is the drawing I did in 2011. So it went into the book in 2014, and it went onto the wall around that time. And we were waiting for the 5-note chords, the 108 5-note chords to arrive. And they never did. I did a lot of sketches trying to figure out how to put all these chords together. They make logical groups, but they should, they never panned out until very recently. I've been more interested in rhythms than in chords, and I managed to make this work on as rhythms, 5-note rhythms in a measure with 12 beats. I'm going to just start playing that. This will be the premiere of a new piece of music, and while I'm doing that, Frank can explain a little bit about why these permutations connect everything, and why, very strange, why the results of this turned out to be one group of 48 chords, two groups of 24 chords, and one group of 12 chords. Why are they not connected all into one group of 108? While you're thinking about that, and while Frank is explaining, I'm going to begin the music.
So on the cover there is 3 graphs, X, Y, Z. So each is the circle of the 12 notes, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there is two bullets, white bullets, and 4 blacks. You have to choose one bullet, one white bullet, 4 blacks. So for example, the Z, here you can choose 0, for example, here, 0, 1, 2, 5, 8. And 0, 1, 2, 5, 8, it's here. 0, 1, 2, 5, 8. So now you can start here, for example, and take this white bullet, 0, 1, 2, 0, 2, 3, 6, 7. 0, 2, 3, 6, 7. And 0, 2, 3, 6, 7 is here. So with this drawing, you can generate all the 5-note chords. So another example with the X. So here we start 0, 1, 3, 5, 6. 0, 1, 3, 5, 6. It's here. 0, 1, 3, 5, 6. So another example. So if we start here, 0, 1, 2, 4, 0, 1, 2, 4, 7, the 1, 2, 4, 7, and the 1, 2, 4, 7 is here. So these 3 drawings can generate all the 5 note chords.